If you're a veteran or you love someone who is, there are three real changes to how VA benefits get paid that are catching a lot of people off guard. Some veterans have had payments delayed, some have accidentally left themselves more exposed to fraud without knowing it, and some are sitting on an approved option they don't even realize exists. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what changed, who's affected, and the specific steps to make sure your VA compensation, pension, or education benefits keep landing in your account on time, every time. No scare tactics, just what you need to know. Let's start with the biggest one, because it affects almost every veteran receiving benefits by mail. The federal government has been moving away from paper checks. This isn't a VA-only decision. It comes from an executive order signed in March of 2025 directing the Treasury Department to stop issuing paper checks for most federal payments, including VA disability compensation, pension, and education benefits. The cutoff for that transition was September 30th, 2025. If you were still getting a paper check after that date and hadn't switched to an electronic payment method, your payments could be delayed, held, or paused entirely until you update your information. The government's own data shows paper checks are 16 times more likely to be lost, stolen, altered, or returned undeliverable compared to an electronic deposit. For veterans, especially those living alone or dealing with mail theft in their area, that's not a small risk. It's a real vulnerability that direct deposit largely closes. But, and this matters, there is a hardship exception. If you don't have access to banking, or you have a documented disability or hardship that makes electronic payment genuinely difficult, VA and Treasury can approve a waiver. Those waivers are reviewed individually, and they're not automatic, so you can't just assume you qualify. If you think this applies to you, you need to actually request it, not wait and hope your check still shows up. Now, here's a mistake I see constantly. Even among veterans who technically did switch to direct deposit, you change banks, close an old account, or a family member helps you set things up, and later that relationship changes, your VA payment can still be routed to the wrong place. And unlike a bounced personal check, a misdirected federal benefit payment can take weeks to sort out. So if it's been more than a year or two since you actually logged into your va.gov profile and looked at your direct deposit information, that's worth 5 minutes of your time today, not someday. That leads into the second rule change, and this one's specifically about veterans who receive more than one type of VA benefit. Maybe you get disability compensation, and you're also using GI Bill education benefits for yourself, or passing them to a dependent. In the past, VA allowed those different benefit types to go into different bank accounts. That's no longer the case. VA now requires all of your VA benefit payments to be consolidated into a single account. This change was made specifically to reduce fraud, because multiple accounts tied to one veteran created more opportunities for something to go wrong or get exploited. If you're someone managing benefits for a spouse or an aging parent, this is worth pausing on. It's easy to assume that because one payment is working fine, all of them are set up correctly, but if disability compensation goes to one account and education benefits for a grandchild go to another, VA's current system expects those to match. Mismatched accounts can cause a payment to be flagged, delayed, or rejected outright while VA sorts out which account is the correct one on file. Before we get to the third change, and this one involves fraud protection that even careful veterans sometimes get wrong, let's pause for just a second. If you're finding this helpful, hitting like and subscribing genuinely helps this channel keep putting out clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of the benefit rules that actually affect your monthly income. Okay, back to it. VA's systems now include stricter fraud detection, specifically around who is allowed to change your direct deposit information. In the past, it was sometimes possible for a caregiver, family member, or someone with limited authorization to update a veteran's banking details. That created an opening for financial exploitation, which unfortunately is a real and growing problem among older veterans. Under the current rules, dependents generally cannot update a veteran's direct deposit information themselves. If someone without proper authorization attempts to make that kind of change, the system is designed to flag it and block it. If you rely on a trusted family member to help manage your va.gov account or your finances, they may run into that same block, even when their intentions are completely fine. If that happens, it's not a sign something's wrong with your account. It usually means VA needs formal documentation, like a power of attorney or fiduciary appointment, before that person can make certain changes on your behalf. Getting that paperwork in place before you need it can save weeks of frustration later. VA has specifically warned that direct deposit fraud is one of the most common scams targeting veterans right now. It usually looks like a phone call, email, or text claiming there's an urgent problem with your VA payment and asking you to verify or update your bank account information immediately. Real VA communications will never pressure you to act on the spot or ask for your full bank account number over an unsolicited call. If you get a message like that, the safe move is to hang up or ignore it, and instead call VA directly yourself at 800-827-1000 using the number from VA's official website, not a number provided in the suspicious message. It involves someone posing as a family member or caregiver, claiming they need to redirect your payment temporarily for your convenience. VA's own guidance specifically warns against depositing your benefits into a family member's or caregiver's account unless that person has been formally, legally appointed to manage your funds. It might feel like a small favor between family, but it removes the legal protections that exist specifically to keep your benefits safe and traceable. There's a difference between VA disability compensation and pension payments, which go through your va.gov profile, and other VA-related payments, like certain education benefits or programs, run through separate systems, which may need to be updated in a different place entirely. Some veterans update their direct deposit information in one system, assume everything is covered, and are surprised months later when a different type of payment is still going to an old account. If you receive more than one kind of VA benefit, it's worth checking each payment source individually, rather than assuming one update fixed everything. If you're a veteran without a bank account at all, this entire shift to direct deposit might feel like it's leaving you out. About 5.5 million Americans don't have a checking or savings account, and plenty of veterans fall into that group, often for reasons tied to credit history, past financial hardship, or simply not having a local bank branch they trust. VA and the Treasury Department specifically set up something called the Veterans Benefits Banking Program to address exactly this. It connects veterans and caregivers who don't currently have a bank account with participating banks and credit unions that will work with them to open one, often with fewer barriers than a typical account application. This isn't a workaround or a loophole. It's an officially supported path that exists specifically so that lack of banking access doesn't turn into lost or delayed benefits. If this is your situation, or your parents' or spouse's situation, this is worth looking into directly rather than assuming there's no good option. Paper checks for VA benefits are largely gone, with narrow hardship exceptions that must be requested, not assumed. All of your VA benefit types now need to sit in one single account, not spread across several, and VA's fraud protections now restrict who can change your direct deposit information, which is a real safeguard, but one that may require formal paperwork if a family member helps manage your account. Underneath all three of these changes is the same theme. The system is tightening up specifically to protect veterans from fraud and lost payments, even when that tightening creates a little extra friction along the way. Don't assume your direct deposit setup is fine just because your last payment arrived on time. Rules around consolidation and authorization have changed enough that it's worth an actual 5-minute check. So here's your one action for today. Log into your va.gov profile or call 800-827-1000 and confirm that every VA benefit you receive is going to the same, correct, up-to-date bank account, and that only you or someone with proper legal authorization has the ability to change it. You've earned these benefits, and you deserve a payment system that's simple, safe, and predictable. Taking 10 minutes today to double-check your information is one of the easiest ways to make sure nothing gets in the way of that. Thanks for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.